We are back with a nosebleed perspective. It is Thursday, November 12th, 2020, one day after Veterans Day. Hopefully, all you vets out there got some free food or did it big, enjoyed your day off at least. Big shout out to all you guys. Yeah, you too, Gibby, actually. Hey, a
Hey,
warrior you are.
nah, that's you.
Nope. But yeah, today I'm joined by Gibby. Just me and him gonna rock it today. But got a good episode. We haven't been on since week 9 of the NFL, so we'll get to it right away. If you guys haven't, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check us out on Spotify, doing our podcast thing, and we'll go ahead and kick this thing off. So, Gibby, we are 9 weeks into the season, going into week 10. There's some teams that really stink so far, obviously. But if you could pick a team with maybe three or four wins or less that could really make a run, especially if they're talking about expanding these playoffs. Is there a team on your radar that could sneak into the playoffs and maybe not necessarily make a run, but just get there?
I mean, the NFL is so close in competition that it seems like each week we could talk about a team like, oh, they're going to make a run, and then the next week we're like, oh, this team's dead. I think that's just how the NFL is, and I think it's what makes it so special. But if you look at these 3-win teams, I would say the best bet, oddly, is the Falcons. For me, just because their offense is so explosive and so many teams are bad at defense. The rest of the teams, Carolina, I mean, they've blown my prediction out of the water, and they're a lot better than I thought. Can't ever count out Bill, but I would have to go with the Falcons. NFC team, high explosive offense, but they just can't close out games.
No, they did get a big win last week. I don't know if it's big, but they beat another 3-win team there, the Broncos, and we'll touch on that here in a second. But I mean, it's a good choice. You mentioned the Panthers too. Obviously, I feel like they've played a lot of tough teams too. They haven't necessarily gotten any cupcakes, and they played well last week against the Chiefs. I was at work, but I watched the recap. I saw Teddy on that was like 4th and 14 or something. Did the fucking helicopter spin, little John Elway style?
Yeah, he did.
That looked pretty cool. I'm excited for them to get it going up there with Matt Rule in Carolina. I really think they could possibly have something if Christian McCaffrey's contract doesn't fuck them in the coming years. But I think I'm going to roll with the Vikings here, man. I know this is maybe – I mean, they look bad the first couple weeks of the season. Really, really, really bad. And, I just think it comes down to if Dalvin Cook can stay healthy. When he's been in there, they've been in these games. You take away that loss to the Colts they had. I think it was like week 2 or something. But they have only they lost to the Seahawks by 1 point, playoff team. They lost to the Titans by 1 point, probably going to be a playoff team. And they lost to the Packers once, and they beat the Packers once. They did get beat by the Falcons, but I'll leave that out. But Dalvin Cook, man, this dude is clearly, I think, in my opinion, offensive player of the year so far, leading the league in rushing, and he's missed, 2 games or something? I don't know.
Yeah, he missed a game, and then they had a bye.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I just think if they hand the ball off to him, it's going to open up Kirk Cousins. Because Kirk Cousins, yes, he gets a lot of shit. We give him a lot of shit. But he's not like a horrible quarterback back there. He can make plays, but I just don't think they trust him. And if they can hand the ball off to Dalvin Cook 20, 25 times a game, get a little play action going. They've been working in Irv Smith up there at the tight end position a little bit more. I'd like, they're in a tough, maybe not the toughest division, but I mean, Green Bay's definitely got a lock on it right now with Chicago kind of falling off. But I like the Vikings. I think they have a chance especially if they expand the playoffs, because they can get it going soon. So
yeah, and we both picked teams that have lost very close games and games that maybe they shouldn't have. And preseason there was people talking about. I mean, a lot of people had the Vikings winning this division, and then turnover, stuff like that, close games, and then the Falcons. They don't blow those 3 leads. They're right there with the Bucks and them boys. So. It's going to be an exciting run in the second half of the season for sure, and you can't count anyone out.
Damn, except the Jets. Except the Jets, you can count them out for sure. All right, so we just talked about that division, the NFC South. Oh, excuse me. The Saints absolutely just manhandled the Bucks on Sunday Night Football. I mean, it was. I think by the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, most of America was like, "All right, let's see what else is on," because it was just not fun to watch. It was such an ass beating. In your opinion, was this just Bruce Arians being just straight up outcoached, or are the Saints, all the way back and ready to make another Super Bowl run? Well, I wouldn't say another because it's been a while, but make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah,
What do you?
they've been close. But I guess to answer your question is, I think this we talked about the Saints secondary a lot. I think it's just kind of off top or off mic or on mic. That Saints secondary could be the best in the league, like without a doubt. They're like that smart kid in high school that could mess around and fail art class or something. Like if they're not focused or they're not challenged, like they don't care. Like Marshawn Lattimore like shut down Mike Evans, and he's like a foot taller than him and can out jump him, and he like shut him down. And they kept trying to move him around. They moved him around to the slot and everything. I think I've bashed Bruce Arians enough. I don't really have any more. I mean, I just don't think he's a good coach, and I just haven't seen anything. They made no adjustments. You're down by that, and you're still going to try to run the same things. Their offensive line is good, and they did miss their left guard, Marpet. But
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, he's not 35 points, so plays have got to get out of his hands quicker than 8 seconds, and I think that's going to be an issue if he can't make adjustments in the playoffs. Man, they can't make a run.
No, you're right, and I'm somebody who picked the Bucks. First off, quick shout out to Gibby. He's a real sports show here. We got graphics now. If you're watching on YouTube, so we're legit. We're legitimate now. So I love that graphic you got. You got Tom Brady staring off in the distance, looking pissed. 38-0 reflecting. Obviously, they did get a field goal, but
yeah.
Anyway, I did like the Bucks going in, and I still kind of like the Bucks. Obviously, they're not going to live up to my predictions at all, so log's wrong there. But I lost this one in our pick'ems as well. But I mean, you kind of hit it. Bruce Arians, I just don't know what they were doing all night. They didn't run all year. They've ran the ball. Ronald Jones has really
Yeah.
I mean, you got Fournette, but Ronald Jones has been, the workhorse the first few games, and they just got away from that, or never really started that. So I don't know what exactly. It looked like they were forcing balls to impossible throws out on the outside, and you talked about that secondary and Marshawn Lattimore. The dude can lock up anybody in the league, but he could also just not. It seems like he just doesn't give a shit sometimes. I know when he came into the league, we all thought. I know you and me both thought he was the next Lattimore Island,
For sure.
So it's tough to watch. I don't know. They were forcing it to AB. It felt like sometimes. I mean, granted, you kind of had to expect that, I guess. The diva receiver in him, and I think he got a first down catch in the fourth quarter or something. And he's all hyped up. I'm like, dude, you're down 38 points. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, celebrating first downs when you're down by more than 14 is unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it was just ugly. I think they started with 4 or 5 3-and-outs or something like that.
Yeah, they didn't get a first down to the second quarter or something. You can't do that. As much as we bash Drew Brees and the noodle arm, Sean Payton is smart enough to beat you. Yeah. If and that defense is going to get tired.
Yeah, I mean, and not to make excuses for Tom Brady, but he was just getting beat up all night long. That O-line didn't protect well. I just straight up think that Sean Payton outcoached Bruce Arians, like you mentioned, and you called. So, hey, good on you.
Hey, it's crazy though. It's Sunday Night Football. Not one person thought the Saints had a chance. That was the meme of the night. Was all these people picking the Bucks?
Yeah, we got the graphic up right now with all the predictions before the game on NBC. And was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Yeah, 7 people picked the Bucks. Yeah, 8 including me. And good on.
We talk about it all the time. Divisional games, you never know. You never want to lock a divisional game. It's tough to these guys play each other. They see each other all the time, and it's just crazy. But I mean, maybe they'll see each other again. And it's hard to beat a good team 3 times. So. Yeah, if they see each other again, you never know.
Yeah, we'll see where the Bucks go from here because they got some, especially after that Monday Night Football game against the Giants. I mean, I don't know. So we'll see. All right, go towards Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos, man. So before the season, we kind of didn't know. I know you're not a big fan of Drew Lock. I didn't know. I really had no clue. I was 50-50 on the dude. I think Cheech might have. I don't remember if he liked him or not. I think he did, but this is before the season. So the Broncos go out and they lose to the Falcons. Not a good look for him, obviously, with what the Falcons have done this year. It's kind of a game that I felt like they had to win, and he probably felt like they had to come in and win. Do you think his job going forward is, secure as the starter? Because his numbers don't lie. He has not performed. I mean, you can say, he's got a higher winning percentage than whatever, but his numbers are horrible. And just what are your thoughts on him? Is his job secure or not? Try to be unbiased because I know you don't like it.
I know. Yeah, I'm going to try. So here's my thing about the Denver Broncos is I think they need an actual quarterback. There's some teams that can get by with a check down guy, a guy who can just move the ball downfield and not have to win you games. I don't think the Denver Broncos, like maybe if they get a better coach or something, but with that staff and that offense, I think they need a real quarterback. If Drew Lock were to play for the Titans or Drew Lock were to play for the Colts or someone like, someone that he could just check the ball down and just be simple. And I thought maybe that's what they were going to do with him. But they've tried to make this kid force the ball downfield. And, we've got some stats pulled up and clean pocket, he's terrible. Under pressure, he's terrible. Deep ball, terrible. Red zone, he's average. Play action, there's nothing I can grab on and say, well, if he develops this part of his game, he's going to be okay. I just can't and he's dancing his team's down,
Yeah.
And I hate to be because I like fun. I don't want to be the no fun league, the NFL, but have some self awareness that you got to win something before you start doing that stuff.
Yeah, so like you said, if you're listening, we do have the his stats pulled up. His deep ball completion percentage 18.8%, pressured completion 27%, clean pocket. Clean pocket. That means as a professional quarterback, you should be able to hit someone at some point while you're back there, and 69%. They tried to help him out in the draft. They drafted 2 receivers, right?
Yep.
What's his name?
Jerry
Jeudy and AJ Hamler. Hamler. Yep. They started trying to work in Hamler a little bit. I saw him get a couple handoffs or whatever, and he's been a little more incorporated. But do you think he just kind of got drafted because of his size and his he's 6'4", he's 228.
Well, you always hear all this, and it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of pulled up on the screen, and this is why I use this picture, is his hand size is 9 inches, which is 5th in the entire NFL. And if you've ever watched any mock draft show or anything, people go nuts over hand size. Yeah. And it's stupid, but, that's a thing. And, he's 23, but I don't know. I try, because like I said, I'm not a big Drew Lock guy, but there's nothing for me to grab onto with other young quarterbacks Josh Allen and them guys. You can say, man, this dude's got a strong arm. If we can just tell this dude to chill out, or, with Tua, stuff working with him, just middle of the road quarterbacks. If you don't have a ceiling, what's the point? Grab someone else and kick this guy to the curb.
Yeah. I think they have to really pull together some wins for him to feel secure in his job. I know it's only his second year, and they're going to stick with him. It's just, I don't think Vic Fangio should be a head coach either. It's just a whole nother topic either. I don't know. We'll see. That's Drew Lock. Golly, he's probably got to go though.
If it's a bad quarterback class next year, do you think maybe his job is more secure? But with, we've talked about the big 3, but then, now you've got the kid out of BYU, you got the kid out of Bama. Now there's 5 quarterbacks that could come in and take people's jobs next year, and it's crazy.
And that kid from Wisconsin too. I don't know what year he is. He might be a freshman. I don't know.
Yeah,
got COVID out for 21 days. So, I just think Drew Lock, for the sake of our show, probably the new Dwayne Haskins. Get him the hell out of town. So.
He's pretty close.
So, yeah, he's getting there. He's getting there. All right, you mentioned Tua. We'll move towards him. So Tua, we didn't know what to expect after he went down to, or when he beat the Rams, he only, completed 12 passes or something. They kind of very conservative, which is fine. You want to win the game, and I think it was a smart play call. Definitely respect that. But he goes out to Arizona, and the dude had to make play after play after play to stay in that game, one, and two, win the game. So he looked damn good, I think. And I just think these young quarterbacks, he talking about Kyler Murray, Tua, Lamar, people like that, Patrick Mahomes, obviously, they're just so fun to watch. I think because, you look at Tua, you don't see like a crazy scrambler like Lamar or even have the moves like Kyler, but the dude his escapability out of that pocket looked pretty awesome. It was fun to watch. I really enjoyed that game a lot, actually. And real quick, let's not forget that Zane Gonzalez missed a 49-yard field goal short in 2020.
Yeah.
You don't see that. You don't see
crazy.
that at all. I mean, that cannot be forgotten. We can't just ignore that because
that's playoff implications there.
I mean, dude, the kick, it was like as soon as he kicked it, I was like, oh, man, he nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh, turns out it's a few yards. I'm like, what the hell? What? I mean, you got Joey Slye trying 65, 67-yard field goals. I mean, dude can't even get 50 yards. So anyway, back to Tua. What are your thoughts on him and him going forward? Can the Finns make some noise with him?
Yeah, I think so. First to start, I would say, look, you kind of hit on it, but I'll hit it even further. I think that was the game of the year. That was the funnest game in the NFL this year to watch. Just two guys, like you said, we had no idea what Tua was going to be. I know our topic isn't the game, but I think their coaching staff over there has got to, for the Cardinals, has got to have better third and short plays and fourth and short plays. Like I know Kenyon Drake wasn't there, but Kenyon Drake really hasn't been a factor this year. And they haven't, you have to be able to convert that. You can't just naked bootleg Kyler out every time and hope he joysticks around everybody. But after that, watching Tua is still weird to me. Left-handed quarterbacks, it throws me off every time. Every time they roll left, I'm like, why is he rolling the wrong way? And I'm like, oh, he's a lefty. I mess it up every quarterback, and I probably will as long as he's a quarterback. But I think they can, and I think we got to see two games. We got to see Tua be a boring quarterback 2 weeks ago, where all he needed to do was check down and not lose the game. And then we got to see him this week where all he needed to do was win the game, and he did it. So, I mean, not to say 2 games is all you need to see the guy, but if you're a Dolphins fan, you haven't had a good quarterback since Dan Marino, you've got to be stoked.
I mean, yeah, it's a testament to their coaching staff, like you mentioned too. I mean, they know what to do. They know what he's capable of. Obviously came in, replaced a winning, season so far with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I think everybody's kind of shut up about that whole thing, especially after last week. So, I mean, the Dolphins are sitting at 5-3, I believe now, and serious contention to get a wild card spot.
Yeah, for sure.
And even if they can get Buffalo and Buffalo slips up a game or two, look out. I mean, who would have thought the Dolphins would be in playoff talk after, years and years of sucking? So.
I mean, you ask the Cowboys how much they missed the cornerback that the Dolphins picked up. Ask them how bad they want that guy. Yeah,
that secondary has gone to total shit down there in Dallas. I mean, complete shit. Byron Jones, yeah.
Byron Jones. So,
and they get Kyle Van Noy out there, linebacker. They got some players out there. Xavier Howard is somebody who probably has been forgotten about in recent years, but he's a player too. So that defense is. Look out for the Dolphins. Okay,
yeah, for sure. Especially 2021, 2022. Man, that's going to be fun. And then they have the Texans' first round pick.
Exactly. And the Texans keep sucking it up. So they're going to get a top 10 pick more than likely, maybe a top 5 pick.
For sure.
So yeah, you a little worried about the Browns not making it now with the Finns coming up?
I mean, I'm going to roll with Kareem Hunt and, Chubb's coming back. So, no worries yet, but that AFC from about 7 on down to about 9 is pretty tough.
Yep. I mean, yeah. I'll keep asking you each week until you get nervous about it. Okay, All right. We just talked about the Cardinals getting beat. So just a general question here. We got the NFC West. In your opinion, they got a lot of hype before the season. Do you think they're overrated now? They still have 4 teams that are, almost all winning percentage, over 500. You got Seattle at 6-2, Arizona 5-3, the Rams at 5-3, and San Francisco, who is just, they don't have anybody playing right now, and they're at 4-5. So, would you? I don't want to call them overrated because look at those wins and stuff, but look at the losses they've had too. So, what are your thoughts on the NFC West at this point in the season, going into Week 10?
I mean, I still think whenever top to bottom, when we talk about this in college football, the years that everyone loved the SEC and it was just Bama and Florida, Bama and Georgia, like that's what was good. But we'd be like, well, what about this other conference who is actually good top to bottom and actually has bottom dwellers that can compete with anybody? And I think that's what makes the NFC West so good. It's not necessarily the Seahawks because there's other divisions that have better second place teams than the Arizona Cardinals. And maybe there's one other division that has a better third place team than the Rams, but nobody has a fourth place team even remotely close to even the beat up San Francisco 49ers. So, I mean, if we're talking best division, definitely the NFC West for me. And playoff wins, it's going to be tough on how many wins they can get. Them matching up against the NFC South, Green Bay, it's going to be tough, especially if Seattle keeps playing terrible defense and the Cardinals don't figure out their fourth and third in short situations.
Yeah, the Cardinals, I think, was it Chase Edmonds ran like 25 times. They have not been able to run the ball. I think Drake hit a couple long runs.
He's too small.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not going to do it. I think, 25 rushes for like 70 yards, I believe.
Yeah.
Just know that because I had him in fantasy. But that volume is there. If make sure you keep starting him until Drake comes back. Yeah. But the NFC as a whole, the whole NFC, I don't see. I was thinking I was on a big Packers guy first few weeks into the season, but man, they got questions on defense. The Seattle Seahawks have questions on defense for sure. We saw that last week. A Buffalo team that was struggling. I know they have a good record, but they were struggling on offense. Josh Allen was struggling, and he throws for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, I don't know. I think this week, we'll talk about it in a minute. This week's going to be big. Rams play the Seahawks. We'll probably learn a little bit more about both those teams. But I don't know. I'm leaning towards that overrated side for this conference or for this division. Sorry. I still cannot get behind the Cardinals because they're just the Cardinals in my eyes. I still can't look at them as like a serious threat to make the playoffs, even though they are 5-3. But and if this NFC West is still going to kind of keep beating up on each other, look out, because if the 49ers get healthy, dude, that's not a team you want to play week or like the first game wild card weekend. You do not want to play a healthy 49ers team. So, yeah. Well, anyway, go to the AFC East. We just mentioned them. The Bills beating the Seahawks. They tried to make a game out of it late. But that happened. New England barely beats the Jets by a field goal. Shout out to Cheech for almost calling that would have deserved an award. Jets fall to 0-9. Obviously, they're probably on track to go 0-16. I mean, and I think it said a lot more about the Patriots in that game, but because everyone was, I hammered them. That was one of my locks of the week. Patriots will definitely win by more than a touchdown. And, the first half, they look like shit, man. They've looked like shit for a couple weeks. Gibby has a fun fact on the screen. Fun fact, Cam Newton completed 18 passes to undrafted wide receivers, which is the most by any quarterback in a win in a Super Bowl area. All right, so that's Gibby being biased because he loves Cam Newton. So I appreciate you throwing that in there. I did not read that fact until the words were coming out of my mouth as I was reading it. So maybe I should have preempted that. But
I was excited when you started reading it. I was like, oh, let's go.
Yeah, Cam Newton, the dude, he can make – I feel like he just – I know the dudes, was it Steve Levy and Brian Greasy, I think, up in the booth, they were kind of commenting on his his stance in the pocket, how he just kind of like falling backwards and not settled, not stepping into his throws, which is an issue. And you can see, I feel like he's just like pushing the ball. And I haven't gone back and watched like his MVP season tape or anything, but I don't know if the way he throws the ball, I'm not sure if it's similar. I don't know if he's still hurt, or I don't want to keep using that as an excuse, but he looks bad. Do you think he ever, regains his old self at this age and becomes a franchise guy at all, real quick?
I mean, it's hard to compare what he did that 1 year because I don't know if anyone will do what he did, but he's never going to be himself again. I mean, we talk about it, running quarterbacks. their NFL life expectancy is just not going to last. He's a big bruiser too. He's not Kyler Murray who played baseball and can joystick around you and then slide down and avoid a hit. Like this guy had to take hits his whole career. And so, no, I don't see him ever getting back to form as much as I enjoy watching him play.
I mean, people love Cam Newton too.
Oh,
Carolina fan. I think every Panther fan loves Cam Newton. I mean, they love him, which is, they got him to a Super Bowl, so you got to respect that. But I just think like you said, his lifespan as a quarterback in the NFL is, he had to use this year as an audition to get paid next year. And I'm not sure if anybody will go that route. They kind of they got a lot of tape on him now going, 9 weeks or whatever it is. Do you still have the Bills winning this division?
Yeah, I think so. As much as we talk about B-Flow and the boys, that defense, I mean, they gave up a lot of points to Seattle, but Seattle could arguably, you could say, is the best offense in the league. I think that defense just gets better. We're halfway through the season. I know it seems like we're pushing past that, but the teams that make good runs and win divisions and make Super Bowl runs are the teams that get hot in about 3 to 4 weeks from now. So they still have time to fix some things. They've got a late bye, which is going to help them. So yeah, I still see them winning.
Yeah, they were a team. I think we all were like, man, this is the defense this year. The Bill is this is the defense that will be the defense this year. So, and they haven't looked like that. So if they can keep winning and that defense keeps getting better, yeah. Man, I think the Fins are going to get the wild card spot, though. I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, could happen over the Colts.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So Mr. Bovey, who is supposed to join the show today, he's a little under the weather, to say the least, at the moment. He had a big call against the Cowboys in with the Pittsburgh game. He called that the Cowboys would cover the spread, and that they did. Steeler fans out there, you had to be a little anxious going into that second half for sure, because I think Big Ben was kind of limping around. He looked bad. You don't want to see those backup quarterbacks because we know what they have to offer. But good on you, Ben, for calling that. Appreciate that. And are you worried about, after seeing that game, are you worried about the Steelers going forward, or do you think it's just one of those games, like he called it, like a fluke game that all his life?
I mean, my opinion about the Steelers didn't change. They're still the second best team in the AFC. They just have questions like, can the offense get going? Like, why did James Conner only touch the ball 5 times against the Dallas Cowboys? Like, the Dallas Cowboys literally pinned their ears back the entire play because they never ran the ball. That's never going to be good for your offensive line if they can't ever get off their stances and get some blocks on there. So it was just weird. I'm not questioning Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is a very smart guy. But like Ben said last week, like, he just kind of, after a big game, and maybe he takes a Bruce Arians week, and this is what you get when you coach like Bruce Arians.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him. I mean, they just look dead. The defense still made the plays when they needed to make plays, and it's what they do. They don't just make plays; they get takeaways and they win games at the right time. So you gotta see them just look bad, I think, for a couple weeks. If they come out next week, I think they play the Bengals. So Cowboys, Bengals, back-to-back weeks. If they look, super shitty again, maybe we can rehab this conversation. But until then, you can't worry about the Steelers. All right. So we'll do a little Thursday night football preview, since that is tonight. We'll be doing it'll be Indianapolis Colts playing the Tennessee Titans. So pretty boring division for the most, but this game, 2 teams with winning records, and it's going to hold massive implications for that division. So Gibby, first off, let me ask you this: who wins this game outright? And then second off, Titans are minus, I think, 1.5 now, actually, not -2.
Okay.
I think it moved, but if that sways you, we can go with -2 if that changes your mind.
Either way is the same.
Okay.
Titans win the game, and I think Titans cover the spread. I'm still not a believer in Phillip. That defense, though, really kind of made me like, maybe I shouldn't have said no one in this division is going to win a playoff game this year. But the defense looks solid, and like in this league today, if you have a good defense, you can make a run. Phillip just can't turn over the ball. The only thing that concerns me is they're not running the ball like they should be. their ability. Their offensive line is the best in the league, and they cannot run the football. I think they're like 25th, 26th in the league in rushing yards per game. And I know they lost their starting guy, but, they drafted Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. He has fumble issues. You can kind of see it. He hasn't lost every fumble, so maybe the stats don't pop up that way. But, it's the Titans can't get pressure. So if there's a game Phillip Rivers is going to show out, it's this week. If Phillip Rivers does not have a good game this week, Colts are dead to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with almost everything you said, especially the latter half there. I think that Phillip Rivers in this game comes out and stays relevant and gets the W.
There you go.
So
okay.
I think they actually win. I think they cover. And I think they win it outright, actually. So they're just going to win this game somehow. I don't know how exactly it's going to happen. You mentioned their rushing struggles, especially with Marlon Mack going down at the beginning of the year. I just have a feeling that because the Titans are not as good, the O-line is not the same. They're not as good as they were last year. I think they're coming off a win right now, so I think they relax a little bit and get a little – I know it's a big game. They know it's a big game, obviously. If I know it's a big game, they know it's a big game. But I think they relax just a little bit, kind of getting their winning ways. But let's not forget, this team just looked horrible and took a bad loss versus the Bengals.
Yeah.
So that's a team that could possibly show up, and I think that Phillip Rivers does just enough. And I think they lose. I think they lose. The Titans lose. That is. So
yeah,
a couple little prop bets real quick we can run through if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
Over under for this game 48.5. You got the over under on this
48.5, 28-20. I'll take the under. Yeah, I know it's boring. I'm an under guy.
Hey,
under guy.
I know.
Boring.
Sometimes
boring square under guy.
These numbers are pretty big sometimes. So, and AFC South.
Mm-hmm. A good defense and a good coach. Colts got a good defense. Might think Mike Vrabel can. I think he can slow down Phillip. So I would say 24-20. I think I could be safe with that.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans are going to run the ball. They're going to run that clock. That's what they do. Derrick Henry, that's just what they do. And Phillip Rivers is not a guy who's going to go out. I mean, he's going to try. So he's going to try to go out and just, gunsling. But, we've seen his turnover issues. Right. But I still think the Colts win this, but I'm going with the under as well. All right, so Phillip Rivers, his over-under passing yards is 265.5. What do you got?
Jesus. 265? I mean, the Titans cannot get a pass rush. That's the key thing. If you're a quarterback, besides a couple of them that love pressure, 265, though, I'm once again boring under.
Yeah, I mean, they don't get a pass rush, especially with somebody like Jadeveon Clowney back there. Anyway, that's an inside joke. Anyway, I'm going to go under here too. I think that they get the ground game going a little bit. Jonathan Taylor and between him, Taylor, what's the other dude's name? Jeff Wilkins.
Hines Wilkinson.
Yeah, Hines will be like, the third down back, pass catching back. But I think the other two will get it going and do enough, slow down the game. Titans are going to slow down the game, and it's going to cause him to hit that under. Ryan Tannehill, 241.5 passing yards. What do you got on this?
I'll go ahead. I'll take the over, barely, though. I think maybe he hits 250.
Nice. I actually agree with that one, too. I think he hits a couple big plays. They get maybe a tutter down, maybe two on some big plays, and I like Tannehill to hit that over as well. I'll start this one off. Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be maybe probably the primary carrier. Who knows though, because he does have those fumble issues. But his over under is 41.5 rushing yards. I think he's gonna hit the over on that personally.
I'll take the under. It's too much committee, and
you're right.
I think that's their key. So it's gonna be tough. I wouldn't bet on it, but I would take the under if I had a parlay on it or something.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is a very run by committee group back there. I don't know another one that's maybe it's like three people that equal. So, but I think he can bust a big one. So I'm going over. AJ Brown, 62.5 yards receiving. What do you think he does on this?
I think he goes over. Davis has been taking a lot of his targets, but last week he didn't put up anything. So if you have him in fantasy, so I think he's starting to go. I think Tannehill's starting to go back to AJ. I would take the over on that and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over here too. He's a big play guy. I mean, we've seen what he does. He can get up and out jump the defense. He can make big plays. He can hit the slant route. We've seen time and time again. He's going to catch a slant route, go 60 yards, and it just takes one of those. So I'm going to go over here. So, all right, that's our Thursday night football preview. You have the Titans -2 and straight up, and I got the Colts straight up and -2. Yeah, +2. Yeah, sorry. Cool. All right. Yeah, Titan. Yeah, whatever. All right. So a couple games maybe you're looking forward to this week. Week 10. I feel like there's by the way, the spreads this week I feel like are a little tougher than normal. Okay, we got a little image here. Let's go. Look at you, Gibby. All right.
Hey, I'm trying, man. We're trying to be a professional. So actually, I had a buddy I work with who was just like, "Hey, man, could I just talk about your show real quick and you not like get hurt or anything?" I was like, "Yeah, man, like whatever." He's like, "It'd be cool if you could like put some pictures so I don't have to just stare at your face the whole time." I was like, I appreciate that, man. Like, I don't know. I don't watch the show.
Hey, person who he is talking about, thank you. And I didn't realize people actually watch this far into the show to care. So good on you. I appreciate that. So yeah, we got the spreads on the screen here. So do you have any games? What are you looking forward to this week? I really had a hard time. We'll get to the locks of the week next, but I had a hard time finding some locks.
So we're just talking about games right now. Games we're excited to see.
Games you're excited to see. What's give me one?
I'm actually excited for Thursday night. I'm excited. It's division, could be a division championship game. That's big. And then next, I love watching Kyler Murray play. So against Buffalo, that spread's tight too. But I feel like that could be a really fun game to watch. And then another divisional matchup, Minnesota and Chicago. Minnesota knows that if they lose this game, they might as well move on to next year. In Chicago, if they lose this game, I don't know what they do but Matt Nagy is not. So whenever the season started, we had to give our predictions, and I took Chicago to win the division because I thought they'd be better at running, and I thought their coach would be smarter. Matt Nagy is maybe the worst coach not on the hot seat in the NFL, and their running game is possibly the worst in the NFL. Outside them in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were both really excited for David Montgomery. When he came out of the draft, and he has not. He's just
he looks like a truck.
I know, especially when Cohen went out for the year. I think he's out for the year, and then you're like, all right, this is his time. This is when he gets it going.
Going back there, they had a white guy there in the fourth quarter yesterday.
Oh God, whatever day it was. Yeah, fucking the 45-year-old Cordell Patterson in the backfield. So I think you make a good point about that game. That was actually one of mine. I just like you said, if Minnesota can win this game, I mean they're right there again. So I like Minnesota to take this one. Chicago, if they lose this game, is that Mitchell Trubisky's music I hear? I don't know.
I mean, just keep swapping them every quarter and just.
I know, do something. Man, just try out the 2-quarterback system. What the fuck else could go wrong out there? I mean, who knows? I mean, because there's been some times where Nick Foles is back there, and you're like, damn, Mitch Trubisky probably would have scrambled for that first down or something like that. So, but anyway, I do like the Arizona Buffalo game as well, but I'm not gonna just take your two games. I think that could be a really big game for both of those teams. Because if Buffalo comes out and loses, it's in Arizona. If they come out and lose, the Dolphins could have a chance to tie first place in the AFC East. But my other game is actually just Seattle at Los Angeles. Man, this is always a pretty good game. I always look forward to these. I circle the Seattle games as a Rams fan each year, even when we suck. But I just think that it's gonna just, I kind of mentioned it. It's gonna give us more on both of these teams. Seattle going against an offense who can put numbers on the board, or they could be a dud. Jared Goff, we don't know what we're gonna get exactly week in and week out for him. But I think if Jared Goff, as a division game, I think if Goff comes out and tears up Seattle, it's a really bad look for Seattle. because we have a very conservative kind of play calling, and that's just what it is this year. It looks like a lot of screens, a lot of short passes, a lot of quick passes for Goff, which is it's smart for a guy like him. He's not mobile or whatever. But if Los Angeles comes out, Rams come out, and we can win this game, it's going to be a step forward, a little confidence after losing to rookie first start quarterback in Tua. I mean, they look bad. USC put some jerseys on and went out to Los Angeles. I think I like that game, and I'm actually going to lock that one in.
Ooh.
Lock of the week. The Rams will win this. We'll win this game. We're going to win this game.
I mean, it's a close spread for a team that's third in the division and a team that's first. So,
yeah, and
Vegas doesn't believe in Seattle either anymore.
I know. I mean, how could you? I was surprised that they actually. I knew it was going to be close, under 2 or 3, but I didn't know that we would be the favorite at 1.5. But regardless, if it was 3, I'd probably take Seahawks. But anything under 3, I'm rolling with the Rams on this one because that's just the way it is. They're going to win this football game.
And I think oh my bad, I mean cut it off. I think that Vegas is looking at McVay on a bye too. He's had 2 weeks to prepare for one defense. So them offensive masterminds. If we're going to our lock, I'm looking for Tampa Bay to have a bounce back. They're not as bad as that game was. And they know they've got to get AB and everyone involved. So, I mean, 5 a touchdown, no CMC this week. So he's going to get a second opinion, but as of today, no CMC. That team looks deadly with Mike Davis and CMC. And then to go back to a topic we talked about earlier, Mike Davis was on the Bears last year and they cut him. So come on.
Yeah. Hey, what the hell? Come on.
I'm also going to lock in my Browns.
Oh, really?
Against Houston? Yeah. I mean, that defense is god-awful. I love Deshaun Watson. I truly do love Deshaun Watson. A lot of the stuff I say about Baker is kind of ha-ha, but I love watching Deshaun Watson play, but that team is not good.
See, that was almost a lock for me. I didn't quite put it as a lock. Maybe by Sunday, if we do a pregame show, maybe I lock them in then. I got to think about it a little more. Okay. But I got Houston winning that game. They're going to win that football game. Will Fuller, Deshaun Watson, Romeo Cornell. They're going to get it done. They're going to get it done. This is when Cleveland starts to implode completely. It's been a good run. They got a few wins, but nah. So my other lock for the week is going to be Green Bay Packers. If it stays under 2 touchdowns at 13.5 at Jacksonville, 13.5. Yeah. So look, Jacksonville has quietly been one of the absolute worst teams in NFL as well, not named the New York Jets. Yeah. I mean, if the Jets weren't so bad and they didn't have this Adam Gase saga going on up in New York, the Jacksonville Jaguars, you'd be looking at them like, yo, what? Because they've lost 7 or 8 in a row. They won their first game, went undefeated against the Colts somehow, some way, and Jacksonville, they are horrible. They're a bad football team, and I think that it's going to be nothing for that Green Bay defense, who is very suspect, to lock it down. And Aaron Rodgers is looking to go on a tear this year. He's going to throw for 5 touchdowns this week coming up, and the Green Bay Packers will win by more than 2 touchdowns.
All right, big spread, but I like it.
Yeah. So you got any other thoughts going on for this weekend? Any other locks? Any college football thoughts? Anything like that?
No, I haven't looked at any college football lines. Had a bad week last week, so just kind of might take a break. Probably not, but haven't looked at them yet. Chiefs are on a bye, so just gonna chill this week. Watch Red Zone. Probably turn on. I don't know which game to pop up yet. Always got one on the TV, one on the laptop. So
there you go. Well, you heard it here first. We've been hot. We've been hot against Vegas. So everybody take this into account. Thank you for listening this far. And this has been a Nosebleed perspective. You all take it.